What you bringing? Stuffing? Oh yeah, Saturday night, want to go to dinner somewhere? I just got to figure out where. Are you hunting that day? Saturday night.
They said it was wrong.
All right, well, we're just trying to figure something out. Because I don't have everybody there. It's kind of like, oh, who cares about me? Just stay there. I'm going to go back there. This is more comfortable. Go ahead, move. Yeah.
Family now will begin the services. I believe we're going to start with Matt.
to get started the way Candace wanted here, please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me besides the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
This is a reading from one of Candy's favorite books, Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. Why must people kneel down to pray? If I really wanted to pray, I'll tell you what I would do. I'd go out into a great big field all alone, or in the deep, deep woods, and I'd look up into the sky, up, 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 into that lovely blue sky that looks as if there was no end to its blueness. And then I just feel a prayer. Hi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's amazing because Candace knew how much she was loved. And I know she wasn't always great at texting people back or calling them back, but it was really lovely. While she was sick, everyone who reached out or every card that was sent, it meant so much to her, and she was so grateful. And I am so grateful that I got to spend so much time with her in the last 7 months. You know, it's weird when you have a 19-year age difference, and Candace was always the coolest. My cousins agree with me, and I think all of my siblings. Everyone wanted to be like her, and everybody wanted to hang out with her because she was so cool and so fashionable, and just, she was hilarious and awesome. And when I was little, she moved back into my parents' house, and so I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4, and Candy's like 24, and I used to go up into her room and just go through all her lingerie and her jewelry and makeup and things. And Candy always, you know, relationships are complicated, and I loved her so much. And there's something about sisters, right? There were 3 of us, and now I'm sad that there's only 2 of us. But it's okay, because she'll always be with us, because one of the last things, you know, me and Candy talked about a lot of stuff in the last 7 months, and it was, you know, she always talked about how much she loved Gabe and how smart he was. If something went on in the house, like if something went wrong, she'd always be like, you should call Gabe. And I'm like, why can't I figure it out? And she's like, well, he's an engineer. And I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not the smart one. But man, she just always knew how to make me laugh and to cheer me up. And there was this one time where it was in the beginning, and I was just tired. And you know, when you're tired, sometimes you just start crying. And she was like, come to my bed, come in here, and she just started, you know, playing with my hair and rubbing my back, and she's like, it's okay. And that's the thing, is it's okay. It's okay that everything is happening. But she loved her family. She loved all of her many, many siblings. Even though she wasn't always great at communicating, she loved you all, and she always would talk about how all of us were brilliant. And I do really miss, I think, I don't know, I should have planned a little better on this conversation, but I wanted to, this morning I felt inspired. She was like telling me, Amy, you better get up there and you better say something great. And at this moment I'm like, oh gosh, I hope it's good enough. Is it good enough? I love you. But you know, it was really fun. We had a really fun time. Even though the days were hard and we knew they were hard and we knew what was happening and we knew she was sick, we had a lot of fun still. And she would laugh and she would tell jokes, and some days she would not be happy with me, and I knew those were days when I needed to go take a walk and get out of the house. And then I think the greatest gift is knowing that she's not sick anymore. She hated being sick, and I'm just happy she's not sick anymore. But she had so much love in her heart. This is what I wanted to say. I made a pact with her before she died. I said, I will keep you in my heart forever and always. And she said, it's a pact. I'll do the same with you. So that's where I'm going to keep her. And I love her so much. And I'm so grateful all of you came. I know it's a weird time with COVID and everything, but it means a lot. Yeah. I'm going to pass on to the next sibling who's going to speak.
Hi, I'm Kara, Matt's wife and Candy's sister-in-law. Hold on. Amy, you're a professional actress. How do I have to go after you? Jeez. So before COVID, before Candy got sick, there was no such thing as social distancing, or no one knew how to social distance. Now it is every part of our daily existence. You walk into Target and there's this big red circle. Social distance, stay 6 feet apart. We're walking the dog outside, another dog and its owner come towards us on the street. Everyone knows the social distance is the other side of the street. And I find it so ironic, like Candy was the queen of social distancing. No one owned it better than she did, and we all loved her for it, and we knew that, like, you know, sometimes you just leave and that's fine. And I think it's funny. I was riding the bike this morning, and one of the songs that came on was Don't Stand Too Close by the Police. And I was like, this is Candy's theme song. Like, this is really, she loved it. So to have a social distance funeral is like, this is her in a nutshell. But on the flip side, she was so loving, and I adored her, and my kids adored her so much. I don't know when it started, but a few years ago, we would have Candy over on Sunday mornings. And she'd come in, she'd have her little coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, coffee for me, coffee for Matt, and coffee for herself. And she would have a box of donuts, glaze for Morgan, or chocolate for Morgan and glaze for Harrison. And we sit at the kitchen table, and we chit-chat and talk about, you know, whatever was going on in the world. And Matt always made her a avocado toast sandwich with a runny egg, which she loved. But my kids could not eat their donuts fast enough. They did not want anything to do with me and Matt. They wanted Candy all to themselves. So they would run upstairs and they would talk Legos and just have the best time with her. And Gabe, I know that you have such a strong relationship with your mom and the whole Legos. And I feel like my kids love Legos and they adore your mom, and that's such a big connection with them. So I really, really love that. And you know, Candy was like a master Lego builder. Like, I can barely open a bag without everything flying everywhere. Like, have Candy do it. She knows. I'm like, I know. So I have such a special memory of that, and I know that my kids will always have a special memory of that. And Leslie, like I said, I absolutely adore her. We are very different. Like, I do not like social distancing. She loved it. But we're very similar. We would talk fashion and books and home decor. And last Thanksgiving, we were at John and Joanne's house. And Liberty of London, every year, they put together an advent calendar. And it's beautiful, perfume and lotions and all good potions that Candy, adored. So we said, let's buy it. Like, you get half the stuff and I get half the stuff. So we bought it and it got delivered to my house. So on a Sunday after we did donuts and Legos, she came in my room. We had to lock the door so my kids would not be bothering us. And we sat on my bed and we opened this beautiful, beautiful box. And it had 25 different little envelopes where you could, open it up, read something, and it would be something that, perfume or candles. She loved candles. So she got all the candles, I got certain things, and we kind of fought about some things. I was like, no, you're older, I need this more than you do. So it was cute, and it breaks my heart because I so wanted to make that a tradition with her, and I'm sad that I can't. But I love her, and I know that she loved everyone, and I know she loves you, Gabe, so much. And Emma and Rose and Mahela and Morgan and Harrison and Nico and Josie and John. I loved how she called you Daddy. She was like, Daddy! And, so we're very different, we're very similar, but she was one of my most favorite people on this earth, and I'm going to miss her a lot. So, I love you.
So now I'm the oldest. Doesn't mean I'm doing anything more than what I normally do. Just to let you guys know that. Candy and I were we grew up in a unique family. We had two families, and I love both of them dearly. I grew up with her protection to the point where every school I went to, they saw my last name and they would always ask, "Oh, are you Candy's brother?" Yes, yes, I'm Candy's brother. I never got messed with because of Candy, so I wanted to kind of break away from that, and so I figured I'd join the Marine Corps to make myself feel a little more manly than having a girl protect me. It didn't work. She still protected me, but she was wonderful. I didn't get to spend the time that you guys spent with her. Living in California is a little difficult. But we would talk and we would have long conversations. She was from one end of the spectrum, I was from the other, but it didn't matter. We would still talk about those things. And if there's one thing, I'm totally not even going off of what I wanted to say, but if there's one thing that I learned from my mother passing away recently, and Candy, whatever differences you have with family members, you need to get rid of them. Because time is short. We knew she was sick, but last week just came too quick. We weren't ready for it. We thought we were, but we weren't. Any differences that you have with family, you need to get rid of them and resolve them. You need to love one another. That's all I got.
Well, I can confidently say that this is the first event in decades that Candy will not be leaving early. Whether it was ducking outside to sleep in her car while her college friends kept partying, or parking her car to optimize her exit strategy, Candy was always well equipped for a smooth Irish goodbye. She truly preferred her giant bed and a good book to groups of people. So if it weren't for getting cancer, our pandemic reality would have been right up her alley. But she could be the life of the party before she snuck out. Candy loved to tell stories, but you had to be willing to follow more than one thread at a time. And those threads often spanned across conversations that could be minutes or sometimes hours apart. But if you followed her there, through the winding paths that set it up, the payoff was always worth it. We'd get a juicy tidbit about bad things she had done in her teens and 20s, or the perfect punchline to a crazy set of events. Candy was a daddy's girl, especially in the sense that she never stopped referring to our dad as daddy. And to her, our dad was a constant protector. From telling off an ex-boyfriend for calling her after he broke her heart, to being by her side when she learned that her tumor had grown. And for every bit that Dad was her protector, our mom was a constant source of comfort. Candy often remembered the hot summer night when she was a kid, trying to fall asleep in her underoos, and our mom gave her tickly scratch, or kata kata as we call it in our family, to help her fall asleep. When Candy was undergoing treatment, Amy and I would often try to give her kata kata, and she would accept it as adequate, but she made clear that Joanne did it the best. As sisters, the three of us could just as easily drive each other crazy or make each other laugh until we fell over. We had a bad habit of celebrating together by going to Red Lobster, and without fail, we would immediately regret that decision. We'd regularly call each other the most outrageous and inappropriate names we could come up with in order to defuse a tense situation with a laugh. After Candy's diagnosis, we still found ways to have fun. Even though she was in pain from her surgery, we managed to have one last dance party, thanks to Hold On by Wilson Phillips. Candy and Amy would also pass the time by doing puzzles, and Candy would sometimes hum Christmas music, which she later told Amy meant that she was feeling happy. And they both found time to mock me when I tried to help with the puzzles because apparently my skills were not sufficient to the task. Candy would be the first to tell you that she was far from perfect. She could keep her loved ones away in hard times and lie about trivial things to avoid conflict. She also loved to buy gifts, mostly for herself, and constantly worried about her spending. When she was going through chemo, she had a delivery of so many Amazon packages one day that she felt like she had to explain it to the delivery driver by saying, "Trust me, I deserve all of these." She could easily think the worst of herself, and she would constantly tell Amy and me that if things were reversed, she could never take care of us the way we took care of her. But Candy took care of Amy and me in ways that only our big sister could do. When Amy was feeling insecure as a preteen, Candy gave her a makeover and taught her how to do her own makeup. The makeover with full lip liner was probably a bit much for Amy at the time, 12 or 13, but Candy made Amy feel beautiful. And whether Amy wanted her to or not, Candy continued to make sure that Amy was properly schooled in skincare, hairstyling, and makeup right until the end. Whenever Candy would see me, she would always insist on giving me a pedicure or brushing my hair. For some reason, she always wanted to brush my hair, even when she was sick and weak from chemo. She was also my most persistent cheerleader, making sure that her friends, coworkers, or a Target cashier knew just how smart she thought I was, and that I was an attorney at the Department of Justice. Candy spent much of the past year and a half grieving the loss of her mother, Maureen. Though I know this is one of the most difficult times in her life, I am so grateful for how close we became during this time. We spoke on the phone almost every morning. And while we talked, she was often walking outside, telling me how she could feel her mom's presence in the sunshine or in birds chirping nearby. Candy's experience with her mother's death also made her passionate about organ donation. She worked with Life Bank to donate Maureen's corneas, and she was so incredibly happy and proud to share this passion with our brother Matt, especially when he told her he was asked to join the board of Life Bank this past year. We know that she would be so glad to know that her own donation will enable others to see, just like her mom's did. And I know that our whole family is grateful that through this donation, we have one more way that our love for Candy will continue to be present in the world. I will miss her laugh and her sharp tongue. I will miss the way she said, "No," when she heard an unbelievable story. And the way she said, "Right," when she thought you were full of it. I'll even miss the way she'd tell me she was ready to get off the phone because she was bored now, which I think she'd be getting ready to say right about now. As always, Candy, I love you like a sister. See you next Tuesday. I kind of messed up the order because I jumped in there. This is another selection from Anne of Green Gables, and I just want you to know that a copy of Anne of Green Gables was right on Candy's nightstand, and it's still there, but it was the last book she read before she died, and it gave her so much comfort, that book. So this is the reading. My future seemed to stretch out before me like a straight road. I thought I could see along it for many a milestone. Now there is a bend in it. I don't know what lies around the bend, but I'm going to believe that the best does. It has a fascination of its own, that bend. I wonder how the road beyond it goes, what there is of green glory and soft checkered light and shadows, what new landscapes, what new beauties, what curves and hills and valleys farther on. And if you could all join me in the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death.
Took my love, took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child in my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. reflection in the snow-covered hills. Will a landslide bring you down? Oh, the landslide bring you down.
This concludes the service this evening. On behalf of the family, I'd like to thank friends and relatives for attending. I know it's very much appreciated. And now, as a final tribute to Candy, as you step to your cars, and I ask you to pass by the casket and pay your last respects. We're going to start in the rear of the chapel, and you're going to come up on your left-hand side. Once again, thank you for coming. Be careful as you step to your cars.